Welcome. Are you business owner or you have some challenges? You have big teams and you want to increase the efficiency of your team. We want to make more revenue and within the given resources. You are not alone. I have business performance coach Frank Lind with me. Please help me welcome Frank. Welcome.
Thank you, Bashir. Nice to be here.
Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who are you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a couple of factors that play a very big part in that question. One would be my father, who was an entrepreneur, and he actually worked very hard. And unfortunately, he passed away at 42 years old. He had businesses and buildings and things, and I saw that as an entrepreneur, him trying to build these things. And when he got ill, unfortunately, a lot of those things were given back to the bank or taken back by owners, and it left my mother with nothing. So I saw that at a very young age, and it was something that stuck with me. And my father did everything himself. So there were a few points that actually were missing to make his success better than what he ended up with. But that was that was the key factor. And then I actually had my own businesses, and I started working with a lot of my vendors, and out of pure desperation of not wanting to lose vendors. If you know that how hard it is to find a really good vendor, somebody that will support your business, I started working with them and helping them grow their businesses. And from that growth, they started to increase their revenue. And I found a lot of passion in that. So I started doing it full time. I actually sold my business. It was a property management company. I owned my own properties, and I managed them. And my wife and I were both working together as a team, and we had a team under us. And I just decided that I would rather coach businesses, and helping them grow is much more rewarding. And I found myself doing it more than I was at the property management. So that's kind of how I ended up where I am right now.
That's amazing. And what are the top three mistakes to avoid?
I think most business owners, the top three mistakes that I see that they make is that they don't get the professional help they need. I mean, that's a big deal. In any industry, whenever you're struggling, people um, they get help, whatever it is, whether it's a doctor, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a musician. They always find a good coach, somebody that can do that. Having somebody who's, as I say, who's been there before to help them overcome that. That would be the first thing, is to find somebody that you can work with to help you learn some of the things that you don't. The second thing I think to avoid would be putting your marketing dollars where they don't belong. That's a very, very difficult thing for most business owners. They kind of do the spray and pray method. They just put a lot of money out there. They don't really strategize in trying to come up with who their target market is, who they should be in front of. And in that process, they go through a lot of marketing dollars that is not congruent to making and helping their business grow. So that has to be a strategy. That would be number two. And number three, I think to avoid would be to be able to learn and really start to grow in your business itself. A lot of the business owners that I work with, they open their doors and they hope for the best. But it's like anything else. When you're working towards something, you want to make sure that you are being successful in learning about it. An athlete doesn't just perform. Over time, he just builds on his performance, on his body, on his mind, and all the things that come with that. And I think a lot of business owners kind of put that in the back, and they don't really pay attention to learning new techniques, learning new skills, learning those things. So I think having a good coach, I think paying attention to your marketing dollars and to really learn would be three things that I say that try to avoid making those mistakes.
What is the greatest failure story you had, and what did you learn from it, and how did you recover from it?
That's a good question. I always like that one. Um, my biggest failure, and I wouldn't say it's greatest or biggest, but When I first came to where I live now, South Florida, my wife and I lived in Northwest Indiana in the Chicagoland area. And we packed up everything and we decided we were going to open up our own business. And we moved to South Florida. And it was about the time right before 9/11 happened. And it was a business where a lot of people who purchased was an ancillary income. It was a gallery, an art gallery, and we struggled for a while. And unfortunately, I had to close the doors because we just couldn't sustain not having business coming through the door. A lot of people were scared. They were, paying attention to their money. They weren't really spending the way we had originally thought. So when the doors closed of that business, I had a couple choices. The first choice was to get a full-time job and start working for somebody. And I was kind of moping around, and my wife came up and said, this is a make or break. What are you going to do? And I made the decision to go off on my own and really start again. And picking up and starting again is not an easy task. Again, I talk about it candidly, but it was a difficult situation. And I'm sure there's listeners out there right now and people viewing this video that know that struggling in any capacity is not an easy task. You don't want to do it. You don't want to go through it, but we do. And that's what makes us who we are. And that's what makes us stronger every single day. So the lesson I learned was, perseverance. And really getting back up and striving for the goals that I want in life, because you get one life, and you want to make the best of it. I don't want to look back at any point and say I didn't try. So that's kind of where I think I recovered from it by bouncing back and taking smaller steps and really assessing as I went along. I think of it as like a plank that goes out into the water, and every day you add a different plank to get you further out into the water, and you just keep building on those planks. I don't build too much because then I can't see, so I just kind of put it in front of me and keep following those planks every day. That's how I recovered.
What are your top three success secrets and that others can follow?
Um, I think that I don't really think there's secrets, but I think that it's what they can follow is to have a strong mindset. Mentally, that's the performance aspect of what I do, is getting business owners prepared mentally for what they have to endure. Again, we don't really think about it when we're excited about a new bakery we want to open up, or selling the new trinkets that we just discovered, or getting on eBay. We don't really think about that. At times there will be dark nights of the soul, and we have to learn how to deal with those. And those are the voices in our head, Bashir, that people go, I don't know if I can do it. I'm not going to make it. This isn't right. I don't have the money. And that's all just mind talk. My job is to help those business owners and help those individuals get focused on what they need to focus on. And that's to really put that vision into place. So I think the mindset is number one. The number two is to really, really focus on your methods. The methods being, what kind of processes and procedures do you have in place that will help you sustain that growth over time? Okay, a lot of people don't really pay attention to that. They say, oh, I'm going to wing it, and then the next week they're trying to figure out what they did and what kind of mistakes they made. But when you put a process into place or a method into place, you really have that opportunity to make changes when needed to be more successful. Again, if it's not clear and precise and measurable, then there's no sense doing it. You have to be able to measure it. So that would be number two. And number three would be momentum, is constantly increasing your knowledge, increasing your skills, increasing your tools, and really putting forth those things. So it's mindset, methods, and momentum is what I really preach to get business owners to be more successful. Again, as we say, what are the three secrets? I wouldn't say there's secrets, but a lot of people don't pay attention to those three things that are very, very important in business.
What is the most impactful business book you have read, and what did you learn from it?
The most impactful business book that I've read, it would have to be Think and Grow Rich. I think every entrepreneur, who hasn't read it, needs to. And if any
Ye-
entrepreneur has, yep,
Can you please show the cover, please?
yes, oh, absolutely. Um, it's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And again, if you haven't had that opportunity to really uh, to really look at that book or read it, it's something that you must do. It deals with a lot of what I coach my individuals on, which is mindset, and really putting into place those those fundamental groundwork of making each step and each day easier. It also has a few chapters on reflection, on gratitude, on commitment, things like that, determination. I mean, those are specific chapters that it really builds on. So to me, that book really changed my life. I have several copies. I have the audio, I have the visual, I have the hard copy, the soft copy. I've got them all over the house. So it's a great book. If you haven't gotten it, I highly recommend it.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
Um, I I I was always wanted to be a policeman. When I grew up, I wanted to do it, but I see law enforcement now completely different than when I was younger. My father was a police officer, and I always wanted to follow in his shoes and be, a police officer also. But I also saw that it's not an easy job, and I kind of changed that from where I am right now. So if I had to change it, I would say I'd like to be a cook or a chef to make it a little bit easier than the fireman, policeman, growing up.
How do you overcome a challenge life throws at you?
That's a great question. And I'll tell you a story that we actually, before we went into COVID, which a lot of people dealt with, I'm sure we all had big challenges. And I was actually I had groomed a potential client for about a year and a half, big name client in the cruise industry. And I was really excited about it. And the one of the things that we were discovering, my wife and I were building this team. We were getting ready for this, big rollout. And one of the things that we had heard was that there was something happening in China. And we didn't really think too much about it at the time. We're like, it is what it is. And within a matter of 30 days, that we had stepped into the pandemic, and a lot of people were closing their doors, things were shutting down, people were scared, they were nervous. And my wife and I were like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? This is like a big deal to us. And at that point, they shut down the cruise lines, and everything shut down. So it's like people weren't doing business. And for that moment, it was very scary because we ended up losing that client. It never bounced back, and they went a different direction with coaching. And we had invested a lot of time and a lot of energy on something that we saw dissipate rather quickly. So to answer the question, how do we overcome the challenge? The way that you overcome the challenge is you have to build on that baseline of the mental capacity and how to deal with it mentally, because it really is the stories that we start to tell ourselves about how bad things are, how it's not going to work, how you messed up, and those are the things you have to start to delete mentally. So to bounce back, I'm fortunate enough that I had my wife with me. She coached me and I coached her, and we dealt with the mental side of it. But what it came down to, Bashir, was that we said to each other, what are we going to do? Are we just gonna, we're just gonna lay here and die, so to speak, or are we going to get up and we're going to fight for what we want? And within a matter of a month, I had reshifted my entire program to virtual, which I never even knew anything about virtual. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know Zoom from Zam. I didn't none of that. And with a matter of 60 days, I had clients that were coming to me virtually, and we were back up and running, and helping business owners become successful and deal with some of the challenges that they were having.
What are you grateful for today?
I'd have to say my wife. I'm very grateful for her, to have her. I don't know. I don't think I would have made it through some of the challenges that I had without her. She's very positive mindset. She has a very positive mindset. She tends to see things as they are, and that's helpful when you're dealing with any kind of challenge or anything that you're up against. So I'm definitely grateful for her. I'm grateful for being healthy and strong. I'm grateful to be able to work out. I'm grateful for the people that I surround myself. I mean, I can go on. So I'm very grateful for so many things in my life, where I live, the food I eat, my two dogs I have. I mean, I'm very grateful for a lot of things.
Who is your living mentor and what is the impact he or she left on you?
Um, I would have to say that my biggest impact would probably be, and I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but Tony Robbins is a very big impact to me. Tony actually got me started. I bought his CDs for a quarter at a garage sale, and it was uh, all his CDs there at the time. They're just in like a little bag, and I walked up to the lady. I'm like looking at these CDs. She's like, "Oh, that's Tony Robbins," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't even know who this guy is, right?" And there were CDs missing, and so it went from he had like it was like a 10-day seminar program, and days 4 and 5 and 7 were missing. So I was like, but I bought it anyway. Went home and listened to it, and I was so enthralled by what he was teaching and what he was sharing that I ended up buying the program. It cost me thousands of dollars, but it was so great information. And from there, I built on having him teach me. I've taken his coaching courses where I'm one of his coaches. I went to his seminars. I've been to watched his TV shows and his seminars on live and on TV and virtually. I mean, he's made a very big impact on my life as a coach, also as a individual. He helps me see things differently. So I definitely turn to his wisdom. He's been doing it a very long time, and he's up into his 60s now, and he looks great. A lot of the fundamentals that he teaches, I definitely pass on to my clients. Keeping a healthy mind, keeping a healthy body, and those things are very important, especially when you're a business owner. I had a program I called Focus, which the F stood for fitness. And I would always start there. I'd say, how healthy are you? Are you walking? Are you eating right? Are you drinking the water you need? Are you eating good foods? Are you watching, what you put in your head? All those things kind of fell through, having him as a mentor and doing some of the things that he recommended, which was, get rid of TV, eat healthy, exercise, all those things he preached. I ended up preaching to my clients too. So I think it's very important. I think he would be the biggest impact in my life as a coach, definitely.
How do you start your day?
I start my day with what I call the 20-20-20 rule. I get up and breathe. I do a 20-minute breathing techniques. If you're not familiar with Wim Hof, if any of the listeners or viewers are watching the Wim Hof, okay, so I get up and do Wim Hof for 20 minutes, and then I do a meditation for 20 minutes. Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you're not familiar with Dr. Joe, you definitely need to know Dr. Joe. His meditations are the best guided meditations. I do 20 minutes of him, and then I do 20-minute exercise, whether it's biking, jogging, anything that I can do, cardio. I do 20 minutes of that. So it's usually the power hour, I call it, 2, 4, 6, and get that. If I have extra time, I do that. That's how I start my day every single day. I'm up at 5, and my wife and I are rocking it until 6, and then we start the rest of our day.
Why is being impactful important to you?
That's another great question. I like that question because I don't think, Bashir, that there's enough people out there really making an impact on other people's lives. I think there's people trying, but to really surround yourself with people that are dedicated and really want to share their knowledge and their talents with others, to me, is very important. I think we all have talents that we could share and we could benefit from, and then learning from other people. And I also think that the people need to be able to deliver that. We see a lot of stuff online that's probably not conducive to what we want. Get rich quick and lose 2 pounds in a day or whatever they pitch you. But I think the true individuals that are out there that really want to help people will rise to the surface. And I don't think that they're out there to give, go online and give you a bunch of crap. They're the people hiding in the shadows that are there to help you and really be successful in what you need to do. So for me, I think it's important because I don't think there's enough people doing it. And I don't think that there's a shortage of people that need it. Business owners are always looking for some kind of advice to help them in their struggles. And it usually starts with the chokehold on every business is your psychology. It's the way we see our business. So that's how I start every program is where's your head? And how do we get that straight before we move forward? And that to me is very impactful.
What is the advice you would give to your younger yourself?
I would just say invest in Apple. I mean, that, if we all invested in Apple at a young age, we'd do very well. That would be the easy answer. I think the not so easy answer would be to not be afraid to fail. I think that's at a younger age, you're kind of nervous about everything. You don't want to make a mistake. But I think to my younger self, I would say, don't be afraid to fail. You get back up. And that fear factor that sets in, it's really nothing there. It's not anything to be fearful of. Those would probably be two things I say to my younger self.
Wonderful. That's amazing. And how can we support you?
Supporting me would be to let me help anybody that's out there. If you need anything that I can do to help you, please contact me. I'd love the opportunity. If you know anybody that you feel that this may have touched and that it can help, I'd love to be able to to share my knowledge and share my tools that I have. I'm just a guy with some really good ideas, and I've learned that they've worked across the board with every business owner. That's it. I'm like, I say I'm just kind of like a rudder on your boat. I'm just there to help you steer the difficult, dark waters, and that's really it. It's nothing fancy. It's not magical. I don't have my own private jet or anything. I'm just there to help any business owner that's looking to succeed. And again, I've done it with so many business owners that I know it works, and I know what they need to help them overcome those obstacles. So again, how you can help me is, lead me to people that need the help, need the assistance, that would really love to work with somebody who's part of their team and part of their lives and wants to share in their successes.
What would you say about your guest experience on the show today?
I think it's great. It's what's interesting is that I think the more we promote the integrity, and the more we promote the like you say, the gratitude and being grateful for each other, really helping do that, and build on that. Jay Abram, how we met, talked about relational capital, which I love that phrase, relational capital. I mean, it's like, how do we get together with other people and really work at spreading the word? And we're talking about good knowledge that people can share, and real people, not, again, not some guy driving a fancy car and in some fancy boat and, got a bunch of girls around him. We're talking about guys just trying to help other people. So to me, I love the experience of being able to come on to a platform and share not only my knowledge, but hear the other knowledge of other people, and how we can help move people forward in life.
What would you say as a final word?
Um, that's a great question. I would say be daring, take a risk. If you're a business owner, if you're an individual, just take a risk. I think we don't take enough risks. If Steve Jobs didn't take a risk, we wouldn't have Apple. If whatever political leader you think of, if they didn't take a risk, they wouldn't be where they are. Athletes take risks. Performers take risks. And I don't think we as individuals take enough risks. And you need to look back on those things and say, at least I tried, but take a risk. Do something that scares you once in a while. People tend to stay in their comfort zones a little too long.
Thank you, Frank, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of Entrepreneur Empowerment Club and the entire team. We really appreciate you. And for the audience, thank you so much for staying with us. And we will, even you're watching and recording, we will be next time with different guests. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.